You're listening to a best of the Tom Anderson Show. It's a rerun, so phone lines are not open. Enjoy the show and keep it tuned to KVNT. This is the Tom Anderson Show, broadcasting live from the KVNT studios, 7 to 9 a.m. Monday through Friday.
34 minutes after the hour, and Sir Richard's going to make sure that, Randy, we have generic music for you for YouTube. We are here back, Tom Anderson Show, and I pitched this as a YouTube-centric interview. Why? Because right now YouTube, I have a question actually for Randy, our next guest, because they're going to change their visual, at least I think for a week, and we can ask him what that's going to mean in terms of resolution of the videography of YouTube. But, you know, here on the Tom Anderson Show, we have an affinity towards slot machine YouTube channels. Also travel, also yachts, also other interview genres. But in this case, we have talked to the Big Jackpot. We've talked to, NJ Slots, New Jersey, John there in the East Coast. And Randy reached out and said, hey, I've got Mid-South slots. Encourage you to subscribe, encourage your listeners to subscribe. And I'd like to talk about kind of the evolution of not just my channel, but of YouTube. And so with these channels and gambling. Randy, how are you this afternoon in your neck of the woods?
Hey, Tom, I'm good. Thanks for having me on.
Absolutely. Well, my friend, so Mid-South Slots, what gave you the idea to first launch the channel when there seems to be a lot of them growing out there? I haven't monitored how many, but I can count at least 30 out there that have some robust and dense audience engagement. What made you to decide to launch such?
Well, honestly, I saw NJ Slot Guy's channel, and he was doing something different. He was playing the old school machines that I like to play, and got a lot of traffic, and a lot of people were really into that. And I thought, well, I play this all the time anyway. This is what I do. I might as well film it. And so basically he was the motivation for that.
Yeah, he has a really good slot channel, and I encourage people to like that one as well as, and we'll put some of the links on it, as well as his buddy, who I've also signed up for his. Both of those, they get so many I can't even remember the names. Have you contacted, beyond John, NJ Slots, have you contacted any of the other? I mean, we've had Slot Lady on, we've had the Big Jackpot, we've had the husband and wife team. There's so many folks that we've had on, Lucky Lady, that it just shows, I think, the interest in the nation with slot play. Of course, I do want to get into some questions about what's happening now with COVID-19 and a slight depression in play because some of the casinos are shut down. But who else have you conferred with as you build your channel?
The first person was Stacy's High Limit Slots. I'm not sure if you've had her on. And then John, NJ Slot Guy. That's about it. I reached out. I've spoken with Brian Christopher's helper that does his media for him, and I spoke with Slot Lady yesterday, who you said you had on, and just asked her about the virus and what she was planning to do.
Absolutely, from Canada. Well, so you go in first. Let's talk about, so people understand, for those that missed the other interview questions and answers. So what device are you bringing in whenever you record, and how do you get permission before you go in? And then, of course, what casinos are you hitting in the Mid-South?
Well, I'm in Nashville, so I have to go kind of, around Tennessee is where my radius is, and most of it's to the west. You got Tunica, but I play mainly at, I was playing at Harrah's Metropolis, and then they decided that I couldn't film there, so I had to abandon that, and that was my hometown casino for 10 years. So now I'm playing at Tropicana Evansville, where they allow you to film. And I just use an iPhone 8 right now, and I bought a little tripod and battery backup, and but I try to stay, low radar. I mean, I don't come in there hauling a bunch of equipment and having everyone stare at me. I try to keep it low key because you don't want to draw attention to yourself.
You don't want a crowd, do you? Because they typically ask questions or talk, and that's something personally that I get annoyed with whenever I'm viewing a YouTube channel, a slot channel. You hear people talking and they've either got to pause it or break it. And typically they're fans. And God bless the fans out there listening to this show, especially if you put this up on your YouTube channel. But folks, shut up. Whenever there's a slot channel host recording, don't go up and talk to them. Don't ask for swag. Don't try to get in the photo. Let them finish. My words, not Randy's. But I really get frustrated with that when there's an interruption. You talked about the fact that some casinos allow it, some don't. Let's talk about YouTube. First, monetizing. Well, explain that. I've asked the others, but I'll ask you to explain it as well. Folks, monetizing, by the way, means does Randy make any money at Mid-South Slots on his YouTube channel based on views? And how does it work?
Well, right now I'm 117 subscribers away from getting monetized. You have to have 4,000 hours of watch time and 1,000 subscribers. And I did a slot challenge with NJ Slot Guy, John, about 10 days ago and went from pretty obscure to I skyrocketed up to where now any day now I'll hit that and then I'll have to apply, and that's a long process that I'm concerned about because you never know who's looking at it or what they're going to decide. There's been a lot of stuff with the slot channels where they've been shutting down their videos, and then a different person working at YouTube will decide, well, no, this is okay, and it's just there's no clarity there, so it's always concerning.
And with regard to, I just received, because I have an ad agency with a couple satellite offices across the nation, Charlotte and Las Vegas, Dallas and Seattle, and then here in Alaska. And we have YouTube ads running, and we have, high res, probably better than an iPhone 8 ads running. And what YouTube announced this morning by email, and folks, for those of you that love YouTube, like I have YouTube TV at home, they said that they're gonna reduce the clarity, and I don't know the technological parlance there, but is that going to affect you any, or do people still watch it regardless of the resolution?
Well, I'm really not sure. I was looking into that this morning because I got the email as well, and I went and looked at a video, assuming it's already gone into place, or that it will shortly, and I couldn't tell much of a difference. It was more about frames per second, which is really important for slot channels, meaning you could have a high def option, but it's not the highest frames per second because you want to see the reel spinning. You know what I mean? And it gets choppy if your frames per second are low. So as long as they don't mess with that, I'm not sure that it's going to. I really don't know, to be honest with you.
And I think you're right.
I look at my videos and they look good.
I think you're right. I think that it doesn't affect it enough. It's going to be de minimis in terms of visual effect. Now, when we get into a lot of people listening, I would guess like to gamble. And whether it's bingo and pull tabs here in Alaska, we don't have casinos. We're one of the few states that don't, or it's traveling to Washington State or Oregon or our area, Pacific Northwest, definitely Vegas, definitely Reno, definitely Tahoe, definitely Atlantic City, all the treasure troves. I went to law school in Minnesota. Definitely there are areas, there are pockets, dense areas, particularly with Indian casinos. But you said that you like the older school slots, and why is that? Why is it like a trust factor that
partly, I don't really know why I enjoy it more. I just the other ones are too not complex, as if I don't understand them, but I like the simplicity of it.
Yeah. Well, what's your biggest win? I mean, have you had a real monstrosity of a win? My biggest ever, by the way, is 22,000. My second biggest is 14,000.
Wow. Well, that's much more than mine. No, I try to stay at the bottom of high limit and bet $5 a spin on most everything. So my biggest is just 2,400. But I've been a blackjack player for 10 years, and I just started slots a couple of years ago. So it's haven't had time to hit that really big one yet.
It's starting to build. It's interesting when you look at casinos. What do you think the effect is going to be? My fave is Bellagio, and I have a slot hostess there and friend, and she said they're off. Her husband, she works at Bellagio, and her husband is a limo driver for Wynn, and she said, wow, we're both off right now, and they're going to pay for a couple weeks, and then we don't know what happens after April 1st. In terms of your contacts, what's happening? Are all casinos closed? That's Vegas. What's happening in the areas and your choices for those casinos and hotels? Are they still open?
They're all closed. It's all corporate now. I mean, any of those casinos that you name are owned by a larger, Caesars owns or not even Caesars. It's El Dorado Entertainment owns Caesars now, so they own every casino around me, and they all closed at the same time. So
Yeah, it's a big deal. We're going to come back. Let's hold you through for the next segment here. We're talking with Randy. His YouTube channel is Mid-South Slots, and I just posted that on the Tom Anderson Show Facebook page. I encourage you to click to it, to help him out, subscribe to it. Why not? And if you're not really into it, you don't have to make the bell jiggle there, but if you are into it like I am, make sure that you get his updates. Coming right back here on the Tom Anderson Show.
This is the Tom Anderson Show, broadcasting live from the KVNT studios, 7 to 9 a.m., Monday through Friday.
We are back here on the Tom Anderson Show. Remember, online at tomandersonshow.com, like our Facebook page. Mid-South Slots, Randy is with us. I encourage you to subscribe to his YouTube channel. We're talking about somewhat of an evolution over the last week, 10 days with COVID-19. Today is Wednesday, March 25th. So for those of you listening live, that's one thing. If you're viewing his YouTube channel and listening to this and viewing whatever he puts on for visuals, we've got COVID-19, folks. So what do you do? That's one of my questions. What do you do when you're an avid gambler, whether it be online or in real life, going to a casino? Randy, with the casino shut down, before the break, we talked about that. Really, the go-to are YouTube gambling channels, slot channels. I would think that this would be really good for folks like you and the folks that have been around, the Brian Christopher, the Big Jackpot, the Slot Lady, the Lucky Lady, the MG slots, the NG slots, the John and NJ slots. I mean, people are going to get confused with them. I know that there's a lot more for those of you that I'm not mentioning. Sorry. But would you say, Randy, that now is kind of a treasure trove for YouTube channel viewing?
It is for the short term, but we're all going to run out of footage, by mid-April, and I'm fearing that these casinos aren't going to be open till May at the earliest. Is my fear. I hope I'm wrong.
Yeah, that's my suspicion, too. I don't like to guess because I don't want to affect commerce or economy, but it's not like anybody's listening to you or me at the CDC. Hey, Randy and Tom said open in April, so we better, boss. No, but I think that ultimately, if it's May, then you're looking at people going back. What would your suspicion be psychologically of folks that really are antsy to get out there? I think they're going to re-watch old videos. That's my suspicion.
I hope so. Yeah, I really hope so. They're probably, the people that can will get online and gamble. If you're in Vegas or you're in Atlantic City, in those states, you can gamble online. But the rest of us, it's going to be rough.
Yeah, no, for sure. Well, let's get into some of the gambling dynamics. For instance, when you look at a slot machine, you're a blackjack guy, but I want to talk about slots particularly. For those out there that have an affinity to slot play, is there a strategy? I've asked this question of the other hosts, and most of them say no. But I mean, do you gamble on slots in the morning versus at night? Do you pick a slot machine closer to an egress or an ingress, an entrance to a casino? Do you pick one where people have already played, or do you look at it as all algorithmic and luck of the draw, as they say, luck of the click?
Well, there's some things to that. To answer that first question, I try to play early in the morning right now because I can get my best footage then because there's less people around, as we discussed, where you won't be interrupted. But in terms of the odds, it's not with any particular machine. You can go on online and find the payout odds, and you can even find it for a lot of states in denominations. And what I discovered recently, and I thought I knew everything about this, but is that nickel slots have the highest payout percentage, meaning what they pay back. So it's like 95%, whereas the higher limit slots were coming in at about 94%. It was really strange, but you can go out there and look for each state and find the payback percentage for each denomination of what, if you put $100 in, how much on average that machine's going to give you back overall.
Yeah, that makes sense. You know, another slot channel that I really, really like, one of my favorites, and that I encourage you to talk to him, is MG Slots. And MG Slots, he does it very thoughtfully, in my opinion, the way he goes over, and his strategy and such. Do you have a strategy when you play? For instance, denominations. Some folks say we're going to start with 1 cent, then 5 cents, then 10, then 25, then 50, then $1, and they go up their range if you have the money. Do you try that, and has that helped? Because it hasn't worked for me. 10 cents seems to be my best denomination for winning. And again, I don't know why that is, but dollars seem to be the worst for me personally.
Yeah, they are for me too, the dollars. But I play $5 machines at 1 credit. And I'll tell you why I do that. It's mainly to avoid taxes. It's the highest you can get with high limit, and your mid-range hits on the slot machine are still not going to be a jackpot that gets taxed. And that's what I worry about, because I'm single. I can't itemize. So the taxes are really important to me to try to avoid that, but to get as high as I can in the limit and cap that off, if that makes sense.
And how does, for folks out there that say, hey, I've gambled before, but I've never had a big win, when does tax come into the equation? I know the answer, but it's for the audience. And how does that work if you do get above the taxable threshold?
Well, it's $1,200. If you hit something for $1,200 or more, you have to pay taxes on it. And it's not really fair, because if you bet on a $100 machine and hit $1,200, I mean, you could get 3 bars, and get a jackpot, and you have to pay taxes on it. And that will withhold 24% for the federal government. And depending on your state, which I just found out when I was in Indiana, if you hit one in certain states, they take an additional state tax. So it's 27.2% total in Indiana.
And then when you have a big win, which in years past has happened with me, fortunately, they say, do you want all the money now, or do you want us to give you some of it, or what do you want to do? And you know what I did when I had the big win? I took all the cash and went to Wells Fargo in Nevada,
right,
in Vegas, and put it in to make sure that, but then whenever tax time came, of course, you have to pull out. And that's the reason. The next question I was going to say, I would assume you recommend to people to sign up for the players cards, because folks, if you do that, you get a profit loss kind of statement, basically how much you put in, how much you took out. And that helps if you have wins to basically depreciate those with your losses. Is that something you recommend at every single casino someone goes to sign up for their players card?
Oh, absolutely, yeah. Because even right when you sign up, then you're going to get something for free. I mean, if your very first time, they'll say just sign up, and we're going to give you, free food and some free slot play just to sign up. And with the way these casinos are all, like I said earlier, under that corporate umbrella, I mean, I can go get a card at Harrah's Metropolis and then travel to Las Vegas, and there's 5 different casinos there where my comps are going to carry over from that little casino in Southern Illinois into Las Vegas or into Reno. I mean, there's just lots of casinos under a bigger corporate umbrella now, to where those player cards just transition over to different casinos.
What's an incentive? We're talking with Randy at Mid-South Slots, YouTube channel Mid-South Slots. There's a dash between Mid and South. I encourage you to subscribe to his channel and follow him. Help the guy out, especially with COVID-19 out. You're sitting at home, folks. At least do him a kindness. Once he gets to 1,000, then he can start monetizing, and he gets a few bucks. By the way that works, and I had it explained, I believe John explained it, NJ Slots, in New Jersey there. John was talking about the fact that if you play the ad through, then the slot channel owner gets monetized, gets paid some small amount. Is that accurate for yours as well? I mean, once you're at 1,000, if someone watches the ads all the way through, that's going to pay you quicker than if they skip the ads.
Correct. Yeah. If you skip, then it doesn't pay nearly as much. But it's all up to the person too. I mean, you can put 20 ads in there for like 30 seconds, but I would never do that. So it's really, if someone just has one ad in there, then be courteous to just watch the 15-second ad or whatever.
Okay, and see, so that's something that people may not understand. So you, as the YouTube channel owner, you control the ads on your channel. Is that accurate?
I believe that's accurate. Like I said, I'm not monetized yet, but from the studying I've done, I believe that's accurate, yes.
Wow. Okay, one other question. When it comes to how you deliver your video, are you someone, you look at the big jackpot with his hour-long, real long videos, and then when I talked to Slot Lady, she said, no, we reduce it down a little bit more. There's kind of that sweet spot. What's your time frame? What's your normal video length?
Well, I just upped it, so I'm trying to get in the between 10 and 20-minute range. I mean, you have to be at least 10 minutes to put an ad in it. But people will lose interest if you put, if you put something out there for an hour. Now, if I were at the big jackpot and you're playing, within that hour you're putting 20,000 in the machine, well, that's interesting. But for someone that's playing smaller limits, people can lose focus after a while, so you don't want to go too long.
Well, I'm crossing my fingers, my friend, that basically casinos open and there will be more robust new footage across the board with you and your colleagues. His name is Randy, Mid-South Slots. I encourage you folks to subscribe to his channel and help him out and get him past that 1,000 mark. Randy, it's a pleasure. We'll get you back once things are heated up and rolling and you're monetized, okay?
I really appreciate it, Tom.
Absolutely, man. Brother Mid-South Slots calling into the Tom Anderson Show. We'll get more of these channel hosts as well because it's fun. It's fun, especially when casinos are closed. So stay with us. Remember, online, TomAndersonShow.com.